past 5 years. We're always being asked the same questions over and over again. Why are there so few females in tech? Is it because, can it be that females are just naturally not inclined to do this? Sometimes conversations like this can get quite heated up. So before I begin to tell you what I think personally, there are two stories that I'd like to share. So the first story comes from Robert Martin. He's also known as Uncle Bob. He's born in 1951, which is the same year that IBM made their first computer series. So his stories and observations about what he sees when he grew up in that generation is the story of the first generation programmer, if you like. So he said in 1970, there is a demand for about 1 million programmers in the US at that time. So they used to, programmers used to code in those punch cards for information. So remember that computer science has only started in the early 60s. So where in the world did he get 1 million programmers, right? They can't possibly be selecting people randomly and converting them into programmers overnight, can they? That's exactly what they did. They extracted programmers from various fields. At first it was in engineering, math, science, and still it's not enough. And then they started to pick the best and the brightest from any fields, accounting, planners, clerks, basically anybody with a technical bent that has a good understanding of the business. So Uncle Bob's first job has 24 programmers and half of them are women. 10 years later in 1980, when hundreds and thousands of new CS graduates, Uncle Bob's workplace grew to 50 programmers. Only 3 are women. And that ratio roughly stays around there ever since. So what happened? When computing is introduced in schools and universities, it is attracting mainly boys and very few girls. It seems like from the very beginning, there's already an unspoken rule or subconscious to genderize stuff, and that locks people up. So where does this come from? Is it the ads? Is it our parents, our teachers, ourselves that made us believe that there's some things are meant for boys or girls? See, it's not a question about ability anymore. It's a problem, it's a matter of our own belief system. The second story is a story of our own. About 15 months ago, we started teaching our community problem solving with Python. So we say no coding backgrounds required. However, you must commit to all weekly classes in the next 6 weeks, and you must complete your assignments, which might take about 8 hours per week of your time. We adopted a field learning method, and this is how we learn. The first is social learning. It means to learn through teaching. After a batch is completed, we convert them to mentors to teach the community. Of course, people freaked out in the beginning when they heard of the idea because they have no tech background. We had people from the English teacher as a profession, the HR people, marketing people, math and chemistry. And some of them even code for the very first time. So we told them you don't need to know everything to be a mentor. You can say, I don't know. We go through the same assignments as you did anyway, so just share what you know, how you do it, and the mistakes that you made. These are the most valuable things anyway. See, you begin to learn so much more when you're asked to teach what you learn. Secondly, collaborative learning. We encourage people to learn from each other's code, which is to do code review. What that means is you look at each other's code and give feedback. It's like marking each other's paper. You learn to give feedback, ask questions, have an opinion, and most of all, praise your fellow learners when you see them write good codes. In the bigger group, we encourage people to do pair programming, where 2 programmers work together at one workstation. You talk to your partner to find a solution together. One writes the code and one reviews it. You also self-regulate your solutions to each other and tell people why you solve the problems a certain way and and talk you through and reflect on the decisions that you've made. So thirdly, inclusive learning. It is important to have a safe learning environment, so we tell people there's no such thing called stupid question. But at the core of inclusive learning is about being open and have a new way of thinking. If you think about it, computing has been about 80 years old if you consider Alan Turing as the first programmer. So it is a very new subject compared to chemistry, science, arts, and so on. So in fact, all the subjects are somehow related to each other. So if you can see things beyond just computer science, and it becomes much more interesting, like how prime numbers is actually in math, is actually the foundation of encryption, and how AI these days are just trying to model something neuroscience. Which brings me to the fourth learning approach, which is to let people see the bigger picture. The problem we have these days is not lack of information, but information overload. So what we try to do is we extract the topics from the top 10 Python programming books and organize it into a mind map of some sort. So hoping to give people, our learners, to have a bigger picture, only to learn a certain topics and how is it related to each other. And finally, focus on problem solving. Knowledge is only powerful when you know how to apply it to solve a certain problem. It's not enough to, we learn enough to solve a certain problem, and problem solving is about breaking down large problems into mind-sized bites. So we ask people to solve small test cases and gradually work from there. So what's the result from all these different approaches? We have an average of 50% drop-off rate. 50% of people left halfway. So why do people leave? Some think it's too difficult for them. Some just have problem with their own time management. So what does all this mean? It just means that different people have different attitude and people have choices. Our job is to provide the right experience. We're not telling people that coding is like a walk in the park, or are we going to tell people that you're not cut out for it? Frankly speaking, we do not know whether someone is cut out for something, but what we are here to do is to facilitate to the best that we can. Just like the other 50% who chose to stay with us, we want to let people to choose for themselves. Sir Ken Robinson, this guy, he said about this about learning. He said we cannot predict the outcome of human development, but we can create a condition under which people can begin to flourish. People grow in an organic way in their own circumstances. Sometimes people rise to the occasion, like the overnight programmers. So, we've answered the earlier question on why so few females in tech. Maybe the question that I'd like to ask is, do we have the right environment for our girls to flourish to their full potential? What sort of belief system do we teach our girls that may have held them back? I'd like to end with my own personal story. So I was reading this book I wrote out to my 6-year-old nephew 2 weeks ago. Towards the end, there's a famous quote that says, the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. Then he looked at me and said, you don't believe in magic? You said that there's no such thing called magic. I used to believe and you told me not to. And I felt like I got slapped in the face at that time. This is what I learned. Think twice before you try to say something's impossible to kids. Thank you very much.